All right, so this is Neil from masterpaintingnow.com. We're going to learn how to draw some hips here. And yeah, so let's get started with that. All right, so before we get into the tips from different angles, let's kind of think about how the hips look like from the front view. And there's a couple things we like to point out, and let's go ahead and do that. So first thing is, I like to start off with this kind of like shape, like a kind of like an oval shape, right? And I know that that's where the tummy's going to fit into. Then I know the rib cage is going to fit off of that, and I'm just going to kind of come up like this. We're not going to be drawing the full person, the middle line down here, the crotch area. Now this is where I like to just, for now, just imagine this kind of shape right here, just like that, and then come off of that shape with the kind of skirt shape. Now this right here will be the ultimate shape of the character right here, and then right along about here or so, you would have the breast lie in here. Let's say they're huge breast. Get an idea. I don't know why that side's not drawn right for me. And what's going on there? Anyway, it's kind of strange. Right, so this is the basic shape. Now, when you're dealing with this crotch area right here, there's a couple things I want to point out. So first, let's go ahead and draw the crotch area, which is typically created by the little bit of the fat of the leg. Sorry about that. A little bit of the fat of the leg there. You got the crotch like this. There is some thickness to the crotch, so keep that in mind. Now the leg continues to kind of come up as I think about this as the leg line, as it comes up right here and attaches to the hip. Now the hip actually starts way up here on the female, right? And the belly button is usually just a little bit below that halfway point right there, this part right here. And there's going to be two different parts. There's this part here, the leg line that comes up that we're drawing right here, that comes up to that bow area. That's going to be the first part. And it comes a little bit past that, like so, like this, right? There's a little bit of bone that sticks out right there. We can get into the anatomy of it, but I do that in my course. This is just some tips. Now the W tip is like this, or actually it's the M tip. It depends on which way you look at it. And it's that shape right there. So it kind of goes boom, 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 the M shape. If you can remember that M shape, when we go through different views, you'll see how important that is. Okay, the next thing is the widest part of the hips are right here at the crotch area. It's not up here. It's not up here. Okay, so that's important to understand about the hips. Now this right here kind of has a shape that comes out and then comes down to where the legs are going to be, and it kind of comes out again like that. Now this where the legs come out, that's the widest part, and from here they're going to come back in. So let's say down here where the knees are going to be at, like so. Now the next part is the legs come out. They have a little bit of fat tissue right here. We're not going to be doing leg anatomy right now. We can do that later, but I just want to kind of draw where that goes in. Then it kind of comes in like this, because you have this serratus muscle comes out like that. That comes down, that makes, and we have the knees down there somewhere, and so forth. Right, so right at first I kind of draw with like hard angles, and then kind of fix up. So it kind of has that kind of shape right there to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my eraser. I'm going to come through here. I'm just going to kind of clean this line up so you can kind of see a little bit better here. So this is the first part, and I think it's super important to get this shape right here down like that. If you can get this shape down, this is if a person doesn't have much fat. If they have fat, a lot more fat tissue, that right there is going to be filled in with fat. But if they're skinnier, that won't show. Right, then you have the fat part of the thigh that comes out right here. And this, even if it's a thinner person, they still have this little bit of fat right here that comes like that. And then the serratus muscle comes down like this. And that creates this gap right here. Now, not everyone has a gap, but I typically draw like, it's good to know the gap because a lot of women do have that gap. Then you have your rib cage, stuff like that, but we're not going to get into all that. Let's say they have a little bit of stomach right here, the bottom part of the muscle of stomach. So this right here can be divided into two different parts, is how I like to look at it. And it's almost even from here to here. If you kind of divide that line right in half, just like that, you have this first triangle here, shape right here, and then this is like more like a love handle coming down. And if you kind of imagine this shape right here, this will help you when viewing that and the M. So these two lines here, and then that ultimate M shape, which is right here. Oops, I'm going to use red here. This M shape right here. If you can have those in mind as we continue, I think you'll see a lot of things about the hips become a lot easier to draw from imagination or even from reference. But as you guys know, I like to draw from imagination. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started with a more complex view of the hips and kind of like what is it you're looking for, where does that M show up and things like that. All right, so starting with the next hip here, let's go ahead and say we have the rib cage, and the rib cage is kind of coming back at an angle. Make sure I have the right color here. Coming back at an angle right here. We're going to have the rib cage kind of coming a bigger part here, a smaller part here. Right, so rib cage kind of coming back, and we're going to see the side plane of the rib cage here a little bit like this. And anyway, I'm just kind of laying out the framework here a little bit. We're coming here with the belly. I'm going to kind of really pull the hip here like this. Now, how do you put the hip in here? We know the belly button is going to go somewhere around here. This is where the hip starts to come off over here. So how we do this then, I'm going to have that middle line come all the way down to the crotch area. So let's start with the crotch. Remember that M shape I was telling you about. So basically I want one leg kind of coming up this way like that, and I want the other leg kind of coming down like toward us and at us, like kind of like this right here. So I'm just going to kind of put in that basic shape here first, and then we'll talk about how do we like know how to draw this. Right, so there it is like that. So first thing is, let's think about that M shape. So the M shape is still present here, and it's going to come down from in between. Let's say we have the main curve here. Remember, from here to the leg, there's those two things I want to talk about. Starting from the crotch area like this, we're going to come up and create these two right here, the shaded one and the non-shaded one. That's what I'll call them for now. I could color them, but right. So we're going to draw that one there, and then this one here. Now, sometimes from this view, you might actually see them like that. Right. So that's that. Now that right here, the next one, the third line is where the leg actually attaches to the hips. So this right here is where the leg actually attaches to the hips, and it actually starts from underneath here, depending on how the shape. Because remember, if we're doing a slight 3/4 view as we're doing here, then you'll see something like that. Anyway, so you have that M shape comes here, it comes down over here and around, it disappears behind us. Right. So the M shape that we have right here, that part of the leg is on this part. The side leg is over here somewhere away from our view, so we don't get to see that part of the M. So we just see a part of the M right here coming through. That means that we're going to see, as the M comes through this way, and it's not going to be the side here, we're going to see more of the M, but let's just go with that side view first. So starting from right here where the bend starts to happen, you're going to have that first line, and then draw that line in the center, and then this right here. Remember, this is the hip bone right here. It's that middle line. That's where the iliac crest and things like that come in. We can actually start to kind of come around and even draw that kind of shape in there. So we have that same bowl shape that's starting right in here like this. Right, and I can even go around if I wanted to, but I'm just going to come right like this. Thinking in 3D really helps a lot as well. So coming down with this M shape, now I know that from the front view, if this was front view, the M shape would actually come right around here because this is the front of the leg. That is the side of the leg. So we're actually seeing the side of the leg right here. In other words, if she's wearing pants, this would be the pant line, the seam. And remember, the seam runs along the side of your legs right here. And so this right here is technically the side of her leg kind of coming like this right here. Yeah, about like that. So now we have that M shape, and it's like that. Don't worry, we'll clean this up here. Now remember, you have that kind of fat tissue coming out right here, and coming down, you have that serratus muscle. So let's go ahead and draw that like that to the knee. And then we'll draw this muscle coming like this. Right, that's the basic anatomy. And then from the side view, you're actually going to see this kind of like thicker muscle that comes right here. And I like to think of it almost like a shape like this. And if you think about that shape, it really does help draw the female anatomy, or in general anatomy for guys as well. Then we'll have the leg coming out. Again, we're not doing leg anatomy, but this would come out to where the knee's at. I'm going to kind of start cleaning this up a little bit here. Like so. So for now though, we'll just kind of draw this line right here and this line right here. You can have another even 2 lines right here for that, the other muscle that comes out of there. But I'm going to come like this. And we'll come down with this thicker part of the leg. Now remember, when you have foreshortening, what happens with foreshortening, I can actually go like that, and then I can actually start also showing the pelvic bone right there, which goes up the center. Let's go ahead and draw this in again. We'll draw this in right here. And then we're going to have this bump like that. Now, from here, we're going to see part of the buttocks. So I'm going to draw the leg, and this is where it's kind of like, I think of it as a upside down or a mountain or an upside down V, or slightly slightly rounded V. And that comes up to right here where that line is right there. Remember that line represents this, what would be the side of the leg here. So as we wrap around the leg, we have this kind of V shape as it goes around like this, and it comes around to the other side, right? So I like to think about it. It only comes up as high as actually a little bit lower than the bowl, because this right here is where the iliac bone will be, or the crest part of it. You might be able to see part of that point here and part of that bone right there. I like to draw the V just a little bit below that, and it kind of comes down this way, so it kind of matches up like this. This shape right here is super important when you're drawing the anatomy of the leg. And it comes in, and the hips. So part of the hip is how the leg attaches to the hip, and that's what a lot of people, I think, get wrong, or they don't understand at first. And once they understand that shape and how it works, suddenly their drawings, just skyrocket and get so much better, because now they're accounting for those types of things. I'm going to draw a smaller breast on this one here. Now, the breast is actually not going to cover, anyway, this isn't a breast tutorial, but I usually like to give little hints here and there, little subtle things, but whatever, we won't do it. I'll refrain from going into some tips here. And then we have the shoulders and all that up here. But anyway, what happens is you'll still have some of the side plane right here where the breast is. The breast is going to come like that and across, and then you'll have the deltoid coming across like that. But anyway, you get the idea. Now here's what's interesting. So you have right here is, like I said, you're going to first have where you have the rib cage coming here and denting out right here, the same thing as this area right here. You're going to have this first area here, and then you're going to have the actual butt. So this is where the hip stops right here. This is the middle hip line, and it's actually come up a little higher on this side. 1, 2, so that right there is the hip, and that comes down to create the part of the line of the leg, kind of. And then it's going to kind of come actually around like this, but anyway, not a big deal. For now, let's just think about it in basic shapes. The butt, we're going to be able to see part of the butt right here connecting to the leg, and it has to come, always the butt is going to come before this shape right here. So it's not going to connect to this line like that. So we're seeing a little bit of the butt from that side. Now this underside leg you think would start there, but actually doesn't, because when you view the body from a slight angled view, we're seeing part of the buttocks come through a little bit here. So sometimes it depends. The leg might even start way over here like that, and then you'd have the leg coming out because you have part of the buttock here, and then you have the leg like that. So you'd see part of the buttocks, this being the buttock from the underside like that. But in this case, it's not turned enough for us to see that. So, but we would see just a little bit of the buttock, and then the leg right here like so. But there's also a little bend right here in the leg, and that accounts for this muscle that's going to come out right here. And I'm not going to start it way up there. There's another muscle that comes. There's these 2 muscles right here, but this main muscle right here. Then there's like a little muscle right here. That's that same muscle that we started drawing over here like this. That same muscle is kind of presenting itself here. And so anyway, we can draw the plane coming down like that. And then honestly, it's going to be like this, like so. Anyway, don't want to get too detailed with it, but you get the idea. Now, of course, we're not going to see a lot of this detail up in here, but it's good to know that it's there. That way, when you're drawing it, you know why you're drawing what you're drawing. And you're not going to like always see this middle line right here. I just like to draw that there so I know how everything's supposed to go together. Like this middle line right here isn't necessarily going to be visible. And then you're going to have like part of the belly here, under part of the belly. And we won't go through the rest of the anatomy, but you get the idea. So now, depending on how much fat they have, this can be all one shape, this can be all one shape. And so it can kind of just go boom, boom, like that. Remember, there's 1, 2, and then there's this leg coming out 3 right here because you're having that part of the buttock here. So what we're seeing, where the M goes, let's do this in red. So the M is coming around and disappearing because going back, it would actually connect like that. So this, I'm going to do it right over here too. So the M shape right here. This shape right here, so you remember where it's at in the front view. So part of that is disappearing back here. And then it's coming around right here. It's coming up. Now remember, it only comes up to where the side of the leg is. So the side of the leg starts somewhere right about here or so. And then the M comes down like that. Right, so that's where the M's at. Hopefully that makes sense. And it just, for me, it helps me identify where the legs are at. The main things to take away from this pose, I think, that are really important is that you have this shape here with the 2 triangles. Oops, I messed that all up. There we go. It's like that. The 2 triangles are there. This is longer because this is being foreshortened because it's turning away from us. You have still the actual crotch that comes up like this, and then you have the part of the leg where it attaches. Remember, the leg is right here. This is where the leg attaches. Or excuse me, this is where the leg attaches, sorry. Like that. So that's where the leg attaches. And so we have those 2 lines where where the leg attaches. And remember, the leg is coming like this, and it comes around. But when you view it from the side view, the leg kind of goes like this because of the muscles and comes out, and then it has some of the buttocks and comes down like that. And it's that shape right there that we're seeing part of from the side view, and that's why we're getting that shape. And we'll go through another one, but anyway, a couple other views. Bam, like that, right? So it's super important that you have that shape right there. If you can remember those kinds of shapes, it'll really help you when drawing the figure here. And I'm not going to clean much of this up here. This is just, done really quickly. So just to give you an idea how things go. And that's the problem with tutorials. Unless you want to make them super long, then you have to, you kind of have to have almost like what you consider like sloppy work, because it's not like finish. You're not taking the time to really finish it. Or you'd have to, do something where you, I don't know, have part of it already pre-drawn, or I don't know. But this is all real time, so you're getting exactly what I'd be sketching at first. I just want to show that part of the leg is there, and it will, with shadow and stuff, it will show itself coming all the way around like this, and then you'll even have part of the hip bone there showing, and then you'd have part of the top plane of the butt there, and you'd have some shadow, and you'd probably have, like, most of this will be in shadow depending where the light's coming from, like that, and then you'd have this part of the leg right here probably all in shadow as well, and this would be like if the leg's being mainly, lit from the top, and then you'd have a highlight there on the hip bone. You probably have another highlight here on the part of the love handle and come up, and then you'd have the rib cage here coming around like that. I'd probably make it a little bit bigger actually because we're seeing it from the side view. But anyway, you get the idea. All right, so what happens when we have kind of like a side view and it's kind of being turned, and if you want to go through all like the basics first, I go through all that in my anatomy course. That's at masterpaintingnow.com. The link is in the description. So you just click on that, and then I have it on sale often. Right now, I think it's on sale for on my site for either $10 or $25 or something like that. And it's normally, I think, close to 100, so 95 bucks, something like that. It's a 65-hour course, very, very popular. There's like over 20,000 students that all paid for it, so, and they really love it. All right, so let's go ahead and throw in some just basic shapes here. So this is kind of a side view of the rib cage, let's say, and then kind of like where it's going to connect to the hips. And then the hips from the side view is a little different. It's kind of like more like this here, and kind of like a box almost, like kind of like a bell or something, right? So if we kind of have that there, we have this coming, we'll come down here and we'll come to the actual, the crotch area, which we're going to cover with the leg, and the back here come around like this. And we'd have like the shoulder deltoid coming in here. We're not going to worry about all that because we're not drawing all that. We're just worried about this back part. Okay, now we want to draw the buttocks in there. Excuse me, the butt in there. Now let's say the leg's kind of coming up. So the leg is coming up, and what's important from the side view though is the leg kind of has this shape where it's like this here. If you want to see it from an actual side view, and we're going to go all the way to the butt for this right here. If this was an actual side view, come out like this, and this would be the leg, kind of has a shape like this, and then the leg comes off and the butt's right there, and it kind of comes down like that. But it has this curve right here to the leg like that, and that's important. That shape right there is how we're going to determine a lot of things anyway. So it's away from though the stomach, so the stomach and everything comes out like this more, and I'm drawing more superhero, so it's not quite realistic, but oh well. That's typically what I do is comic book stuff. So if we take the leg and come up, the leg actually is going to bend part of this muscle right here. So we're going to take the leg, and let's say we'll just come down like this here, and the butt is being stretched around, and then you have part of the leg come out like this, and it comes up, the knee. Try and just do it all in one line here. What's important is this shape right here. And that's where we're seeing kind of a little bit of that shape right there. We're seeing a little bit of this shape, the side view of the shape as it comes up right here, and we're seeing the butt. So we're seeing a little bit of this right here. And we're seeing that right there. Okay. So understanding the side view, I think, is pretty important. And then if the other leg is coming up or something, because remember it's connected to the same area, so it'd be coming up like this, and then you can have the knee, whatever, and then coming down, and it would come back down like that. And it would actually be shorter because it's further away from us, so it would kind of stop more like that and come around and connect like that, maybe right here, something like that. You get the idea. Or it can be right connected to it, in which we're not really going to see it because it's kind of being turned away, especially if we're seeing kind of like a little bit of the back. Let's say this little bit of the back spine here, and we're seeing a little bit like that. We're seeing a little bit of the butt coming around right here. If we're seeing something like that, then, then she's sitting on something, whatever, then this leg right here would be away from our sight altogether. But if not, then we'd actually see part of it. But we'll actually do like that, and then the other leg would be right connected in here somewhere and be like right behind, and we might be able to see some of the knee come through. Just depends on, and actually the knee would probably come out a little bit further than this one. But keep in mind that shape right there from the side view, that's the part I want to show you. Then this leg is coming, it bends right here, right over that like that. And you have the buttocks here connecting, and you have this kind of wedge shape right there as it comes up to the leg like that. Think about, things in three-dimensional form. And then the breast would come off right here. You have this, and then you have the side of the breast kind of showing up and coming off like that. And depending on the angle, you might be able to see a little bit of the other breast kind of coming off like this. Boom. That's not really important. I don't know why I'm even drawing this part. It's not. None of this is important to the drawing we're drawing right now. But I'm kind of like, I don't know about a perfectionist, but I don't know. It bugs me that it's not there. Oh well, we'll just do it anyway. So then you'd have part of this muscle right here coming through, and then you'd have the elbow right here, part of the other part of the forearm. But I'm not going to draw all that. Okay, so you get the idea. And actually the breast would sit a lot lower than that. That's a little bit too high, but oh well. Get that? You get the general idea. And this would actually come more like that. You wouldn't be able to see the whole thing. But yeah. And she's sitting on something here. We don't know what yet. All right, so now what we have here, we have the front view, kind of a 3/4 view, and we have a side view. Now, of course, it's better to draw like this, and then from the side view, you know, you kind of come like that, and come like here, have the buttocks come down. You come down with the leg like this, you know, it comes in. You have the knee, whatever, you have the calf. It's good to, you know, and remember there's that shape right there in the leg, and then there's the buttock here and the leg like that. And then you'd have the stomach coming off and coming up, and the back bending and making the buttocks and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I do all that in my course. There's no reason to do it here. This is to go into more different stuff than what my courses already cover. And so front view, 3/4 view kind of, at least of this leg here, inside thigh view, and then side views. These are some tips just to think about when you're drawing. And if you think about these tips, you'll find that your drawings will start looking a lot better when it comes to the hips. And if I get some requests, I can cover some, you know, some other tips for other anatomy, like you know, arms and things like that. But all right, let's go ahead and do one more here. All right. So here we go. Even if we're drawing, let's say, the back side, right? You're still going to kind of see that same shape if you can see some of the side of the figure. So let's kind of imagine the hips coming. Oh, I need a dark color. Imagine the hips coming here. I'm going to kind of draw the oval shape. I'm going to come down with the back part of the hip here, and it's coming at an angle like this. And this is kind of like the, oops, that basic shape I showed you before, except for now the in the front here where the crotch would be is in the front of us, and instead we're seeing the buttocks instead. So I'm going to come like this, and then for now we'll just come like, well, we're actually going to change this a little bit, but like that. Now where the leg, where the butt comes like this here, the leg attaches. Now I go into how to draw butts and stuff in other tutorials, so I'm not going to really go too much into that. This is more about the hips, so I'm just going to kind of draw the leg in here like so. Maybe this leg is coming this way, so their whole butt's going to be coming like this, and the leg kind of comes off like that. I'm drawing through the character and like that. Anyway, so just kind of drawing in the basic shapes of where things would normally appear at. Now what's important here from this back side is if I come up here and let's say I draw the back and it's kind of come like this. This is the back, the spine line, whatever. We have the back of the rib cage, and I'm not really sure how much of the rib cage we're seeing there. Maybe just a little bit like that, and then we're seeing like some of the side view of the rib cage, and we're seeing some of the side view of this part right here. So this is all going to be like the side view here of the leg, and all this is all side view as well, right? So we're seeing a little bit of the side, a little bit of the back here of the character. And then the arms would come off like this in this area here. Maybe another arm coming off this area like that. Okay, so the breast would probably be somewhere coming up here and come like this, and kind of come up out of our view a little bit. The arms kind of covering it. Part of the rib cage coming off like that. And what I want to see is a little bit of the stomach and side view. So as this leg comes off of this, I'm going to have all right here. I'm going to kind of redo this and make it a little bit more. I'm going to make it turned a little bit more away from us. If I can show you I want to kind of show you that kind of side view thing, but I want to show you in the way that I had a plan in my head. So we're going to kind of come like this here. We're going to have the crotch coming down here like it's disappearing into that area somewhere though. The side view a little bit. You're not seeing too much of the side view. And then the hips are coming like that and then coming down like this, right? So this is kind of like the box shape that I'm putting here. And so boom, like that. And then we're seeing a little bit of the underside of the buttocks a little bit here. So now this butt cheek right here is gonna be overlapped by this one here. And it's gonna come around like this here, and it's part of the leg and butt right here is being pushed out like that. And then this buttock like that coming up to the spine area. That right there is kind of disappearing off of view. Now what's important here is remember that side view of the leg, we have this shape right here. That's really important to make sure we capture that shape in here. So as the buttock comes in right here, because oops, we're having some foreshortening going on here. Right in this side area here, we're going to start having that part of the leg right there. So just imagine that that's part of the side view of the leg here, that little piece like that coming down like this. And then it's coming back and around, and it's kind of forming the buttocks a little bit, so like that. So we are seeing a little bit of that side view of the leg, the bone coming down like this. All right, let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I have my eraser set to soft mode. Basically, it's just the eraser, and I have it set to soft. So I just turn my Cintiq pen around, as you can see there. Oops, it always changes size on me. I don't know how to get it to stop doing that. Like, it memorizes what size I use a lot, and it keeps switching that. It's probably in the settings here somewhere. I just never mess with it. Or maybe it's, I don't know. It's got to be in there somewhere in the settings. I just never looked it up and looked at it. And I actually teach Manga Studio for painting and stuff, one of my courses, but there's some things that even I don't know yet because I don't find that important, but that one's starting to bug me, so I got to figure out how to do that. So if anyone already knows and you want to tell me, that'd be awesome. We might be able to see just a little bit of the stomach portion here. And again, this is like side view. We might be able to see a little bit of and maybe that. I know we'd have a muscle right in here, but we'd also might be able to see a little bit of the muscle here, and that's the scapula part of it that we're seeing. Right, so something like that. And it's important that I have that, like, remember from the side view of the leg, we have this shape here. So I kind of drew that shape in there, and I'm kind of seeing that, even though it gets cut off because it's going into the back of the buttocks here. So I mean, you could go like that right there if you wanted to, but you're not going to see all that. You know, just you're just going to see a little bit like that, and that's it. And then you have different side muscles and stuff. I'm not going into the legs. If you think about these principles when drawing the hips, now again, you need the foundation of the hips first, and this isn't a basic tutorial. This is more of an advanced tutorial going into some tips on how to draw the hips. I kind of went through a little bit of the basics here for the front view. We really need to do it for the side view and from the back view and 3/4 view and everything like that. And I go through all that in both the basics to advanced in my anatomy course, again, which you can find at masterpaintingnow.com. masterpaintingnow.com, and then go to courses, or it might be right there on the home page. It's my most popular course, Anatomy for Figure Drawing, Mastering the Human Figure. Like I said, it's a big course, but it really covers everything in great detail, from the bones, how the muscles attach, where they attach, and the knowledge and how to use that knowledge to draw things and how the muscles stretch and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, if you guys are interested in learning more of these kind of more advanced tips here that kind of complement, I mean, I go through I'm trying to do different angles than what I did in the course, but I do go through a lot of the different advanced stuff and certain angles that are important to know, so that if you know those angles, those weird angles, you can actually draw it, the hips from all different kinds of angles. Maybe just do one more here. Also, I have my, for the basics of drawing the human figure, doesn't go too much into, it goes a little bit into anatomy. Actually, yeah, it's an overview of anatomy in it, and it's called How to Draw Awesome Figures by Neil Fontaine at Amazon. So it was a bestseller, still is actually a bestseller right now. Years later, it's kind of crazy. It still stays there at the top of its list for what it is. All right, so just to give some context to this real quick, let's just kind of draw, like, let's say this is where the rib cage is, something like that, and we have the center line coming down here, and then we want to kind of draw our hips. I'm going to have the hips kind of at an angle like this here, and I'm going to have it at a slight more angle to the rib cage, so it's going to be more bent like that. And we're going to come, actually I don't want too much of a bend here for this one. So yeah, I definitely want the hips kind of like at a slight angle to it, but not too much. So we're going to come down like this, come off. Want a basic hourglass figure, and then we're going to come down to the actual crotch area, which is going to be way down here. That's coming up like this. And we're going to come down like that with that basic skirt shape. So if you just kind of imagine this kind of shape right here, that's where we're going to be drawing everything off of that shape. All right, so now What happens when we have a slight angle to it, but we want to show, it's not really going to show much of the butt. So there will be an angle, but not much of the butt is in the angle. So I'm going to kind of come off a little bit like this right here. Right, there we go. Okay, so first off, let's draw a little bit of the crotch area in here that we're going to see. Remember, this is going to be, when we come up here, we're going to have two different, we're going to have this like this shape right here, and then we're going to have the two V's that come off here, and we're going to have where the leg actually attaches to the crotch. And that's going to give us that kind of shape right here in the anatomy, and then the leg comes off right here. This is where the leg attaches. And I'm going to kind of pull this leg just down like that. Now the other leg is kind of coming up and at us a little bit, and it's kind of coming forward. So remember, we still want to keep that one shape in mind. So let's go ahead and bring the, and I'm going to kind of just trying to think how I want the, I'm not going to worry about the ribcage yet. Right, so that we have that shape right here, and then the buttocks would be right here, but this would be like the side of the thigh, but a little bit, like a little bit of the butt will show through, but not much. Mostly it's just the side of the thigh. And we're going to come down like this way. Now the leg is, this is because the leg is coming kind of toward us a little bit. And remember, we have that shape from the side view, this shape right here. So we're going to kind of bring that shape in here and kind of come down like that. So that would be like as if it were the side view. So we're seeing a little bit of that side view of the leg. So I'm going to bring that shape in there for now. And then we have the kind of shape from more of the front view, which comes like this here. Remember, you have that kind of fat muscle right here. And then you have this serratus muscle, which comes down right here and comes forward like that. And then this will be kind of seeing some side view right here. And then like that. And then the knee will be somewhere out in here, coming like that. And then the calf would be like coming behind if it's being foreshortened. Anyway. So now we have the crotch coming like this. We have that center line. We have all those lines I showed you before, and I'm going to start cleaning some of that up so we can start seeing the anatomy here coming through now. But that's how I think about it. So if you think about the anatomy that way, it really is going to help the anatomy of the hips that way. Think about those lines. If you do that, then once you start actually drawing on top of that, like right now, I got that basic idea in there. I'm going to kind of add that more. I'm going to kind of come around right here. And that might actually show just a little bit of that line come up right here. And there's all kinds of, really cool, intricate little details of anatomy that you can do. Like you have that main hip line, which comes through here, and you can see the, in the front of the hips here, so you can see the iliac point here, and you can see it over here because it's coming off to the side. That little bit of anatomy can show through, but yeah. So now you have this kind of view here, and I kind of should have got rid of more of this here. You have the under part of the belly here. Oops, I should just stick to nice smooth lines because I'm no longer sketching. And I try to always sketch with nice smooth lines anyway, but sometimes digitally makes it a little bit harder. And I don't think I need to connect this up here like that. I just need to overshape or overlap it just a little bit like that. And this, I might actually dot up a little bit more. Just kind of stipple that line like that, and kind of stipple this line like this. Right, so now you get the idea. And that's a little bit kind of I'm not too happy with that right there. That's a little, some of this fat muscle is coming over from this angle, and it's going to be kind of blocking a lot of this view, so it's going to be coming more like this. Remember this line right here, there's a couple different lines I can pull off. So there's the first line that kind of comes up to here, right? And you have this, then you have this part here coming off like that. I can also connect it to there, so I'm just going to kind of come like that. Then I'm going to come off of this here just a little bit, showing that leg connection. And I can also show the leg connection right here with a little bit of shadow. Oops. So like that, and then a little bit of shadow right here like that. And then we can have a little bit of shadow coming under here. This whole part, let's say it's kind of coming from above, sort of, the light. Not straight above, but a lot toward us, the viewer. Okay. And there you have it. This one here, obviously when you add shadow, it really does make a difference. So if we kind of like add a little bit of shadow to the butt here, watch how much this kind of brings things out, because part of this is like the leg and part of it's the butt. So if we just kind of show that a little bit of shadow, the change in plane, this might not be perfect anatomically shadows, but pretty close, I think. You can start to see how the shapes really, those little bit of shadows really it makes the butt really pop out some more, really adds a little bit of shape to it. All right, so there it is, guys. Hopefully that helps you with some more advanced ideas to think about that W shape, these two lines here that come in, that part that connect to the actual hip area. And so, for example, here, I'm imagining that bowl. So where am I imagining the bowl at? It's right here in the center where I had those two lines before. That's like the bowl area, and that's where this whole entire, then you have the skirt part right here coming off. And see, as you can see, all that fits out. This is the widest part right here, right at the crotch. And then this right here is not too wide. The next widest part is after it bends, it comes out again, that right there. And you see that the thinnest part is right here, where the ribs start to come in, where the ribs stop, but the flesh starts to come in and break off into the hip. And so you have like this shape here, and let's say it's the ribs. You have like, I imagine a circle here, and then I have my hips here, and then I come off like this, and that's the widest part right here at the crotch. Boom, like that. So when you come in, that's the thinnest part of the female body right there. Then it comes out like this, and then it comes back in again to the knees, and it comes out a little bit to the calves, comes back down again, like so. All right, there you go, guys. So if this has helped you at all, please do me a favor, smash that share button, smash that subscribe button. And if you want, sign up to my newsletter. I hardly ever send out newsletters, but when I do, it's usually when I come out with a cool new lesson like this one here. And I might send a newsletter out to that. I only do like literally like sometimes I'll go months without sending out a newsletter, and people probably like forget like what is this from, It's like I try to at least do once a month, but I'm just so lazy when it comes to sending out newsletters. But yeah, so anyway, you get the idea of everything here. Oh, and by the way, we're seeing on this one right here, I should probably point out in the screen as well, we're seeing a little bit, if you think about it, a little bit of this side view here, and I can actually pull out this and make this a little bit bigger if I wanted to, because we are seeing a little bit, or we could be seeing a little bit. It really depends. It's all up to us, right? We're the ones deciding this fate here of the drawing. Oops. But we could be seeing just a little bit of the buttocks a little bit. It's kind of rolling around though, and so we're just seeing like the very, very edge of it, but kind of it ends up looking like this, like that right there. And of course, drawing a lot from like live models and things like that will help you. But yeah, so there you go. All right, so which one should be the icon? Maybe this one here. Bam, icon. YouTube would be like, oh, I'm not going to share that anywhere. I could also make both of these too. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. I'll try to make some sort of thing out of these for the image for the front. But yeah, if this has helped you, like it, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. The more you can do, the better. And that helps more people learn about these tutorials, and so they can learn more. Now, my art courses are designed very differently. Still the same teaching style, where I go through the hows and the whys and stuff. This I didn't go through. This is more advanced. I didn't go through too much of the hows and whys. That's more in the basics, the beginner stuff. But it's like I don't go in off on tangents or random or you bounce. It's just boom one. And go check it out. You can actually check out a couple lessons for free. Just see how I teach and check that out. So yeah, go to masterpaintingnow.com, click on one of the courses. It'll take you to my Udemy course page, and then you can actually watch some of the lessons for free. And so it's pretty cool within that course and see if you dig it and if you like how it's taught. And if you can catch a sell for like one of my courses for $10, that's a killer steal. And yeah, so, and also got my anatomy, well, it's not my anatomy book, but anatomy is part of it, but it goes through the basics of drawing the human figure all the way to the advanced parts of drawing the human figure. And that, again, that is How to Draw Awesome Figures. And you can find that on Amazon. Come along with me, we're gonna draw some comic